Yeah. Welcome to Trending. Welcome. Hi Mai. Come on in, get comfy. About to dive into some of the news stories from the week. Thanks for joining us. If it's your first time here on Trending, you're in for a treat because, of course, not only do we get to go through some of the stories that have captivated New Zealand's attention or not, as the case may be, quite a big curveball on that front. Teaser, spoiler alert. But also, too, get to spend some time with the Rema community, and you can join at any time by the chat you can see right now on the right-hand side. If you just let us know where you are in the country, where you're joining us from, maybe stories you're expecting to see. I actually think you would struggle to predict what's in our top 10 stories today.
As is not always the case with Trending, but welcome, by the way, to, this Trending, the live stream and the pre-show before we officially begin. Thanks for jumping in early. And hey, if you've never left a comment before, just say hi. Let us know where you're watching from. It is good to have your company. We're about to, once we get the rest of the listening audience involved from the radio, delve into the week that was and the trending stories according to Google and according to popular news sites and seeing what other New Zealanders were clicking on.
Some fascinating stuff this week. Really interesting stuff. And it's always interesting, too, to see when these align with, say, what the major news stories are around the world and when they don't. So one in particular, coming to us courtesy of the old spin-off that I'm quite interested in diving into. We haven't followed some spin-off stories for a while, but
if you've been a long-time Trending fan,
Trending represent.
That's right. You'll know that we every so often do we dip our toes, shall we say, into the spin-off. And, this week, a little bit of a treat from them.
They're kind of, credit to them because they let their flags fly very strongly in terms of what they support and what they don't. But they never fall completely into just human interesty stuff. I feel like, dare I say it, stuff.co.nz more likely to have some kind of a silly human interest story compared to some of their more hard-hitting opinion pieces on the spin-off. This week being one of those cases. Really interesting story there about something. I'm not going to tell you what, but don't worry, we'll get to it. Quite a cool story though.
Yeah, quite cool. Also to see quite a few numbers already on the stream, particularly on YouTube. And a big hello to Mark, who says good morning from Christchurch. Excuse me, Mark. Good to be having some company from Christchurch, the Garden City.
Josh always gets choked up when he talks about Christchurch.
I'm going to Christchurch very soon.
Oh yeah, what for?
Wedding.
Oh.
And the obligatory go see grandma, because if you're in Christchurch, as grandma is in Christchurch,
that helps.
Go see grandma.
Yeah, nice. How old's your grandma?
Great question.
Yeah.
Grandma age.
Grandma age, right. She is of a grandma disposition. Oh, that's funny. Yeah. I'm all out of grandmas, unfortunately.
No.
But then when my dad is 80, that would mean my, grandmas would now be, pushing 100. So it's probably understandable. That's all right. What else can we tell you about today? Oh, gosh, I don't know.
Other than grandmas.
Other than grandma-related. Do we have any grandma-related news? Not really.
I don't think so.
I'm struggling to see how this could be. Well, maybe our number one story could be a product that's used by grandmas.
Our number one story?
Yeah, the most popular trending news story.
Oh, our number one story.
Yeah,
not our first story, but our number one.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, that could be grandma adjacent. You sure you don't want me to play that Babylon Bee thing today?
I am very...
Are you sure?
I'm quite sure.
Oh, jeez. All right. See,
It's your show, mate.
Well, this is a great handoff then, isn't it? This is when Josh kind of tries to wash his hands, give it the old Pontius Pilate treatment.
When it suits me.
Yeah.
Look, that big old graphic that you see before you click through to the actual, trending stream says,
you know what?
Trending with Andrew Curtis.
You know what? I'm going to make this an audience thing. I'm going to give a chance to vote on this as we go throughout the day. If you want to see it, then I'll see if I can queue it up on my side. Let's just have a look.
Di, if you're watching, if you're listening, I washed my hands of it.
Well, look. No, you told me it. You dared me to do it.
I didn't.
You said I'd be scared.
I did. You are taking it as a dare.
You said there's no way you'll do this, you big wuss. And I was like, are you sure, Josh? And you were like, yep.
It's interesting the things your mind, the lies your brain tells you.
The lies you say? I don't know what you're talking
Welcome on into Trending, by the way. Quite a few people watching on the stream. It is good to have your company. Once again, hello to Mark. Hey, where are you watching from? Thank you for being a part of Trending. This is the pre-show before we officially begin, because, of course, soon we'll bring the radio listenership in on the show. But if you've got any prediction as to what may be the number one trending story, what do you think? What have you seen a lot of news about? Feel free to leave that comment below, just like Mark. And, of course, we would love to hear whatever you have to say.
I found it. I've queued it up.
Good.
It's ready to go. It's ready to go, Josh.
Sure.
It's going to be great. People are going to love it, and they're going to thank you for insisting that I did it.
No.
Everybody needs a Josh in their life. Just to throw under the bus every now and then. There's the bus.
Sometimes I do it myself on
That
the
is
show.
true. Yeah, touche. Touche. What else we got? Let's have a look. I am interested in talking about the missing in action stories, though. That's going to be quite fascinating. Otherwise, just a generally good time. I want to stop at this point because I feel I'll be tempted to just keep drip feeding stuff, and then there'll be no surprises.
Right.
And I don't want that.
I think we could drip feed this. I am quite surprised because we do this often, where we go not only to the Google search results, but we also go to popular news sites and see what their own websites say the most people have been clicking on. The number one story on The Guardian.
Yeah.
Can't say any more.
Yep.
But
fascinating. Especially when you consider what's normally popular on The Guardian as well. Like, they tend to be big fans of, a certain nation.
They do. They seem to report more on
American news.
Yeah, than their own.
The Guardian loves American news. It's so weird. And, well, it's not just The Guardian, I suppose. It's their audience as well, clicking through on stuff. But they love an American news story.
Do you think, here's a hot take, do you think The Guardian is the most centric American news site?
Oh, interesting.
Because it's removed from America?
Yeah, maybe, eh? I actually reached out to somebody today via the old Instagram to see if they would appear on the Rima Breakfast Show because, there's all these different podcasts and things that pop up in the US, and they're often very clearly like right or left aligned. It seems like the voting dynamics are much clearer amongst their audience, but this one in particular is a little bit more kind of like, hey, considers themselves like politically homeless. I just wanted to get a sense of like what's it really like in America, as opposed to we've got our outside perspective here, and it looks incredibly divided and antagonistic, but is that just because we just consume American media from mainstream sources that tend to have clearer political stripes? Anyway, we'll see what comes of that. We will see what comes of that. All good times. Almost about time to bring in the rest of the Rima audience as well. So we shall prep ourselves for that. Let's just make sure we can play the right little tunes and everything in the background too, shall we? Remember, though, as Josh has mentioned too, say hello and get ready to send through your thoughts if you're on the chat today.
Yep, get in touch. You can also text, by the way, 8168 with the keyword Rima. But, hey, you're watching the stream. It's right there, the chat. Leave a little comment. Hey, if you're even just wanting to let us know where you're watching from, we'd love to know how far Trending reaches across the country. Just say hi, let us know if you have a prediction as well on what may be the number one story or any story that may be included in Trending. Because
all right, here we go. 2 seconds to go. And those words you'll find in John 17, verse 3.
Live on air and online. Trending with Andrew Curtis.
It is the favorite time of my week. I hope it's rising up the ranks of yours as well. Welcome to Trending. Is it a news and current affairs show with a wee bit of a difference? How do we settle upon the stories we're going to talk about? Well, you told us to. Through your clicks, through your Google searches. Do you think those stories will line up with what led our nightly news bulletins? That's what I find fascinating. The stuff that people tell us we should be interested in versus maybe what our search behavior reveals. It's always fascinating to dive into these stories to get your perspectives on this as well. And another reason we do this show the way we do is because we wanted to open up more opportunities for you to get involved, and to tell you more about how to do that, welcome again, Josh Beatty.
As I was saying before, I was rudely interrupted. No, we had our pre-show moments ago, and then we were coming in live pretty quickly. So welcome if you've just joined us via the radio listenership. And of course, welcome on the live stream. If you'd like to find the live stream, head to rima.co.nz, click on either the Facebook or YouTube links. If you'd like to leave a comment, 8168 with the keyword Rima. If you're listening, that's how you text. Or, of course, if you are watching, just simply leave a comment below.
So that is it. You can watch along. How cool is that? It's like radio with pictures.
I think there's a word for that.
Oh, well, we'll think about it. See if it
Yeah.
comes to mind. Really broad range of topics today. I'm quite excited to dive into all of these, but we're going to start off with the number 21 story in terms of your Google searches.
Trending with Andrew Curtis.
That's right. We're able to determine, based on the Google search trends, what the most popular or perhaps least popular terms were. And starting off in the number 21 position with Tom Holland.
Tom Holland, known for playing Spider-Man.
Not to be confused with the famous historian of the same name. Or isn't there also a
Tom Hollander.
Tom Hollander, who was the guy in Pirates of the Caribbean, who was
yes.
the antagonist, I think particularly in the first
Beckett.
film. Yeah.
No, I think actually, no, later films, truth be told, as
was
a
it?
Pirates of the Caribbean fan. Yes, he wasn't, he's not Barbosa, who is the, well, we don't need to get
The
into
point is, it's not him.
Yeah.
So just now you know it is the Spider-Man one. Though maybe unfortunate reasons to find himself in the search terms. Let's find out what happened to him, courtesy of E! News.
Tom Holland definitely felt his spidey senses tingling. According to multiple outlets, the actor is hitting pause on filming Spider-Man Brand New Day after getting injured while filming a stunt on September 19th. Tom
I mean, not to nitpick, but I mean, clearly his spidey senses weren't working. Just the whole idea is that it tingles so he doesn't hurt himself.
You have hit a nerve for me because often, we will find that with these more...
Fair weather fan accounts.
Yes, yeah. Any news report has to have a heavy amount of puns. I don't know what it is. There's some sort of requirement that you have to just work in as many puns as possible.
Yep.
But E-News, that did not work.
No.
You're showing how your lack of nerddom, because if his spidey sense was tingling, he probably wouldn't have hit his head and got concussion. Anyway, my rant is over.
Whoa, spoiler alert.
Sorry, did I reveal that too early?
Dun, dun, dun. That's all right. Let's see what else E! News have to say, and we will stop them and shame them if they insert any more of these poorly formed references.
reportedly suffered a mild concussion on the set and will take a break from filming out of an abundance of caution. However, he is expected to step back in his Spider-Man suit in a few days. E! News has reached out to Tom's reps for comment and has not yet heard back. Although the 29-year-old is taking a small break, he was all smiles as he attended an event.
Is that a shot at him? Tom Holland taking a small break? He's a little man. He's not, okay.
For his family's charity, the Brothers Trust, in London the day after, September 20th. Tom hosted the third annual Posh Pub Quiz at Christie's Auction House with his fiancée Zendaya, whom he proposed to earlier this year, by his side. Despite the actor's unfortunate mishap while shooting the Marvel movie, he's previously emphasized that he is, quote, over the moon to be filming the fourth installment, even recently teasing behind-the-scenes action on Instagram.
Familiar faces on set.
Oh, Steven.
You know, I'm just going to do my best, hopefully get it right. No pressure.
Well, there you go.
There we go. We knock on the head for Tom Holland.
Can we talk about the choice of music
Yeah, go on then.
underneath that report?
Yep.
What are you doing? E-News, what are you doing?
What should they have gone with?
Not the lo-fi like...
Doom, ba, doom, doom. Tom Holland's got a head injury. Boom, ba, doom, doom.
That was-
Boom, doom,
that was
ba,
odd.
doom, doom. Can't remember his mum's name. Boom, doom, ba, doom, boom. What's his birthday? He doesn't know. Doom, ba, doom, boom. Yeah, well, we have talked about this before, though, when it comes to news stories that have music beds underneath them. I suppose on an entertainment story, you can forgive it a little bit more than, say, some hard-hitting international affairs, war correspondence, something like that. But it is a strange thing.
Taking note, I think when you take note of any music underneath a news report, it's too obvious.
Yeah.
If you note it, if you go, oh, I'm hearing that music, it should be moving the story along, but so subtle that you're not actually engaging with it.
You know what I actually should say to you is this story is a bit boring.
Yeah, well,
This story is a bit boring. If you have to put in a music bed on something like this, maybe that was fortunately, mercifully, only 1 minute and 20 seconds long, but could it have been 25 seconds long?
yes.
Tom Holland suffered a head injury while shooting Spider-Man. Maybe you post that wee clip that he did on social media talking about, we're going to do my best, blah, 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 which doesn't really say anything, but I know people just want to hear from Tom Holland, so that's fine.
Did you take note of that music while it was playing, by the way? Were we the only ones? If you're listening or watching right now, I actually want to know, like, did you hear that and go, that's a little bit odd, or did you just breeze past it? Let's see. Let's put a poll out. Get in touch now, 8168 keyword Rima, or of course, if you're watching on the stream, quite a few people, by the way, Andrew. We've got some high numbers today,
Great to
which is
see.
really cool. Let us know, were you noting? It's a little thing, but this was a trending story. That little music bed underneath, did it kind of put you off? What do you think?
8168
Trending
keyword Rima.
with Andrew Curtis.
Why did I do that? I'm able to control when I play this, and I talked over it myself.
That was all you, mate.
That was 100% an own goal. Just proving that those poor guys at E-News, although you might make mistakes, so do we. We're all on the same journey together towards perfection. So with that all said, let's now skip to one of our major news services in New Zealand. And this is a slightly curious one. I wonder if it's just because of the boomer-esque quote that is used in the headline that caused it to become the #1 trending news story on One News.
Brassed off.
Brassed off.
Winston Peters misses Trump's dinner due to traffic woes.
Da, da, da. Brassed off. Goodness me. That is, I mean, look, I can say this because my parents are of a certain age, but I can hear my mum, maybe my dad saying brassed off.
It was very brassed off.
It's so brassed off. Oh, when was the last time you were brassed off? When was the last time you heard someone say brassed off? And how old was that person?
I think it was probably us just now.
Yeah, touche. Maybe it's a reference to the classic brass band film starring Ewan McGregor and Pete Postlethwaite.
Yes, yeah.
Weren't you just saying about the
I
other day?
was,
You
yeah,
love a good
yeah,
Pete
yeah.
Postlethwaite movie.
Yeah.
Also famous for,
That other movie.
That's right.
We all love.
yeah, exactly. So, no, he was brassed off due to traffic woes. The weirdest thing about this story is actually the addendum to it that pops up midway down the story on One News. I'm going to play that for you now because, you see, there was some traffic that needed to be navigated. It was the reason that Winston was brassed off. Apparently, it affected France's President Emmanuel Macron.
Yes, I heard about this.
And he has previously bragged that he can get Donald Trump on the phone whenever he wants. So, ladies and gentlemen, for your viewing pleasure, here he is right now in the streets of New York City trying to get his way through traffic and seeing if giving a call to Donald Trump will make it easier.
Who's this? How many people?
No, I have 10 people with me. I go to the French embassy.
No. It's just, I'm sorry, I'm president. I'm really sorry. It's just that everything's in frozen right now. There's a border gate coming right. That's why.
Oh, sorry. If you don't see it, let me cross. I negotiate with you.
No, it's not that.
Let me negotiate. Here he is.
How are you? Guess what? I'm waiting in the street because everything is frozen for you.
Are you sorry? That's because of that. Well, it's a good thing you know, so.
I don't know, it's still 3 or 4 in the afternoon. But I would love if we can. Yeah, I know. I would follow.
Yeah, I
But
know, I know.
I would love if we can have a short
You're more
discussion
important
with,
than me.
with Qatar and you from the situation in Gaza because we were.
So there you go. There you go. Now, to be fair, he could have been talking to anyone. I mean, did you see who he was speaking to? I'm going to call Donald Trump right now. Hang on. Hello, Donald. Yeah, g'day, mate. Yeah, how are you? Yeah, no, just doing trending. Cool. Oh, favorite show, you reckon? Oh, amazing. No, just
You didn't need to call
Okay.
him.
something about Tylenol. I don't know what that. Okay, all right. Well, there we go. That was just me calling Donald
I don't
Trump
know
as
why
well.
you needed to call him. He's already watching, of course. He's probably on the live stream right now.
Makes sense. So that was that. Winston Peters, but that was a #1 story. #1 story on One News, and it was just a story of Winston Peters being late to a party.
Marcy, by the way, thank you for your comment in the Facebook chat. Good to see that you are watching. Yeah, I wonder if, Andrew, we talk about this often, human interest stories.
Yeah.
So Winston Peters, you love him or you hate him. He's quite a divisive figure in that regards.
Rather polarizing.
If you hear that Winston Peters gets caught up in traffic woes, which maybe the everyday Kiwi is finding themselves in from time to time,
Yeah.
like, I deal with that. I know what that's like. And the fact that
He's just like me.
he will,
He's just like me.
I think he's
get
just like me.
He gets brassed off. Wow.
Or maybe a little bit cynically, I'm going, you're having too much glee in the
Oh,
fact
yes.
that old Winnie had to wait in traffic.
Bit of Schadenfreude. Great word, by the way. Schadenfreude. Oh, so good. But there you have it. #1 story. #1 story on One News was brassed off. Winston Peters misses Trump dinner due to traffic woes.
Trending with Andrew Curtis.
The more I think about it, though, that's a heck of a traffic woe to miss an entire dinner. Like, can't imagine that was a short dinner, right?
Canapes. Did he get there by dessert, maybe?
Maybe he was trying to be fashionably late, and he just ended up too late, and then it was too awkward.
We've all been there.
Mate, Donald never let me forget it. Sorry, I'll call him back. Donald? Hang on.
Stop.
Donald? Yeah, I just want to say sorry about missing the... Oh, no, you're too kind. No, we did get the gift basket. Thank you. Okay, thank you. That was just me talking to Donald Trump.
Again.
Not that you'd know.
Yeah.
Speed dialing today. Let's take a look at the number 2 news story on the spin-off. We love the spin-off because it's such an interesting news platform. It flies its colors very boldly in terms of what it supports and what it doesn't. Quite heavily left-leaning, also does a lot of culture news, entertainment, that sort of stuff. But the thing I'll say for the spin-off that I really appreciate is that it doesn't shy away from doing more in-depth, hard-hitting news stories, and they often tend to be quite popular on the website.
Yeah, so as always, this is Trending. We're looking at the trending news stories from the week that was in terms of Google search results, but also going to many of our major news sites. The spin-off is one we visit every so often, and quite interesting to see what was at number 2, because also, Andrew, interesting in the fact that this wasn't trending otherwise.
Really interesting. We often talk about stories that are missing in action because Tom Phillips and the mythologizing of the good Kiwi bloke, this was the second most popular story on the spin-off in the last week. Now, Tom Phillips was one of the most popular search terms in the country, one of the most popular people by terms of search activity. Last week, of course, after the tragic conclusion of his escapades, shall we say, quite euphemistically. But this week, the country has more or less moved on to other things. And so to see this one pop up, now the story itself was posted just on the 22nd of September as well. So it picked up quite a bit of popularity in only a few days, didn't even have a full week to elevate it up the rankings on the spin-off website. But this idea around the mythologizing of the good Kiwi bloke, quite fascinating.
Yeah, so as I understand it, and clarify for me if I'm incorrect, Andrew, there have actually been a few positive comments for Tom Phillips, who, of course, we know the story well by this point. It's especially how much it's been covered by many of our major news sites. But weirdly, some positive media or some positive comments for Tom Phillips in the sense of a traditional Kiwi bloke taking his kids out into the bush, away from screens.
Well, I'll tell you what, if you have a look on the website right now with us, join us on the live stream, go to rema.co.nz, click through to either the Facebook or YouTube Live. I've brought up the article that has extrapolated a couple of quotes that have been posted in regards to Tom Phillips. So see what you think about this. It would have been the ultimate adventure. A great dad, caring for his kids in the beautiful nature with no iPads. Labeled a fugitive for bringing his kids up to have a better life. It's called camping. Top-tier survivalist skills and knowledge. Doomsday prepper ready. They'll be having a fantastic life. I bet they're the neatest of mates, and I bet they adore their dad. Now, this is somebody who took his kids into the wilderness and has been on the run for basically 4 years now.
So it makes me quite sad, honestly.
What do you think's behind that kind of interpretation?
I think we want to glorify, and we do have an ideology around. If I was to extrapolate these comments on their own and not know anything of Tom Phillips, I would actually say in a silo, these comments do present something that is quite good. Taking your children into nature.
Sure.
Camping.
Yep.
Away from iPads. But labeling this story and this saga with such a broad brush is naive, it's dangerous, and it's incredibly, dare I say it, moronic, because it really undercuts and just dismisses a lot of the very dangerous elements and the very criminal actions that were undertaken by Tom Phillips and all that unfolded.
I agree. It's an element of New Zealand, and I don't think it's a large element, but it can be a very loud element that is anti-establishment to the point where you can't see the forest for the trees, which is probably a mildly insensitive analogy to use. But nevertheless.
Pun intended?
Pun intended, maybe in this case. Because this is a guy who abducted his kids, who, I mean, they were running from the law, they were breaking into stores and things like that. You can imagine the story that you would have to tell your children to justify why this is all happening. Hey, kids, they're all out to get us, but we're going to be okay. Don't let them take us. We're not going to let them take us alive, which literally is kind of how it played out in the end. I mean, Tom was killed in a gunfight with the police next to his eldest daughter. And yet, in some sectors, being labeled as this kind of anti-hero, perhaps.
Yeah, I mean, the Bible says to be in the world, but not of the world. I don't think this is being in the world. I think this is trying to retreat away and believe that the world is all out to get us. And it might be quite extreme, but I think even in our own culture of Christendom, we can start to fall into that trap too quickly and find ourselves isolating and putting up walls. I think both you and I, Andrew, would advocate, going camping with your families, getting into the outdoors, spending less time on screens. But this is not the story to attach those positive attributes to.
As I say that, though, there is a story that has been very popular in New Zealand in only the last few years. The Wilder People.
Hunt
for the Wilder People. Sam Neill and a breakout movie for...
Taika Waititi.
No, but what was the kid's name again?
Julian...
Anyway.
I'll look it up.
The point is, this is a story of a guy who takes a kid, runs off into the bush because, the authorities are out to get them. And this has been, I remember reading this when I was in school.
Julian Dennison.
That's the one.
A very good point, Andrew.
And we're like, yeah, get them. Yeah, they don't understand what's going on. So in some ways, I remember actually, I believe it was a C.S. Lewis quote. And he talked about good and bad in fiction versus in real life. And saying how what makes the bad guy, quote unquote, or maybe the anti-hero is the more 2025 way of looking at it, popular is that in fiction, at least, good is boring and evil is interesting because the bad guy can do all sorts of stuff that the good guy can't do because we all know what the good guy's supposed to do. So they're kind of on rails in some sense. Whereas the bad guy, they can do all this kind of stuff that surprises you, subverts you, whatever it is, or even, an anti-hero. But in the real world, it's quite the opposite because to be confronted with the good is actually to be surprised. And even to be confronted with the merciful, the kind, the forgiving, which, by the way, we will be talking about a little bit later on in the show, is actually more rare than seeing the expression of our lesser nature, as perhaps we might have seen with Tom Phillips.
What do you think? Interesting story that hasn't really popped up in the Google Trends and is being now talked about on the spin-off. This story about Tom Phillips and actually glorifying some of the elements in terms of getting out and camping and being in the wilderness, the dangerous narrative. Do you have any thoughts? Are you surprised to see this pop up, that there is a sector of people who have been sharing these comments? What are your thoughts on the story? Feel free to get in touch, 8168 with the keyword REMA, that's the text, or if you're watching on the live stream, rema.co.nz, click on either YouTube or Facebook, and once you're there, leave a comment below.
Trending with Andrew Curtis.
If you've just joined us, Trending is our once-a-week walk through the news headlines with a bit of a difference. These are the ones that we've selected based on your Google search behavior and on what's been most popular in our major news services, both in New Zealand and around the world. So for this next story, we're going to Al Jazeera, one of the larger international news-based services. News-based. Ooh, gosh. Is that a Freudian slip?
Well.
Are they all news-based, if you think about it? Or is there news-based? Is it? Get your kids to explain that one to you. Oh, dear. We're going to take a look at the number one story from Al Jazeera. And again, kind of remarkable that this hasn't popped up too many other places. But their number one story, Russia says there's no choice but war after Trump U-turn on Ukraine. This is a wild one. Now, it's partly inspired by the speech that Donald Trump delivered to the UN, where he gave them a good old-fashioned tongue lashing, as he is wont to do. So let's first of all see how Al Jazeera covered this address and then maybe why Russia might have decided that they've got no choice but war.
U.S. President Donald Trump seemed to be holding back a smirk as he prepared to rip into the United Nations, starting with its escalators.
All I got from the United Nations was an escalator that on the way up stopped right in the middle. If the First Lady wasn't in great shape, she would have fallen. And then a teleprompter that didn't work. These are the two things I got from the United Nations, a bad escalator and a bad teleprompter.
In fact, the unresponsive teleprompter was brought in by the White House. But the U.S. president used it to accuse the UN of being inoperative, incapable of ending wars, of subsidizing undocumented migration to the U.S. Then he ridiculed his European allies for what he called a pathetic green energy agenda and their open border policy.
Your countries are going to hell.
But no sooner had he got the message out of his system that he made a sudden U-turn in a meeting with UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres.
Our country's behind the United Nations 100%. I think the potential of the United Nations is incredible, really incredible. It can do so much, so I'm behind it.
But there was another unexpected turnaround to come.
After meeting with President Volodymyr Zelensky, Trump said that he now believed that the Ukraine could win back all of its original territory taken by Russia with military and financial help from NATO and the EU. And when asked, he said that he believed that Russian aircraft should be shot down if they violate EU airspace.
It was music to the embattled Ukrainian president's ears.
Trump is a game changer by himself. If he will be sure in Ukraine, and I think that he is more close now to this situation.
But
Can we say just quickly, if you've been watching this, that was a quote from Volodymyr Zelensky. Did you notice what he was wearing?
What was he wearing?
He's out of the combat fatigues. He's back in suit jackets.
Oh.
You remember how when he did his second meeting with Trump and he turned up in a suit? It seems like he's dropped that whole Churchillian kind of, hey, I'm in a boiler suit until the war's over vibe. Maybe he just decided it was time to update the wardrobe?
Maybe, look, he's got multiple outfits and he's allowed to wear whatever he wants.
Elephant in the room was the very legitimacy of the UN, which is being widely questioned for being unable to fulfill its founding principles, guaranteeing world peace and the respect for international law. The question is, who's to blame? The institution or its most powerful members who continue to hold veto power on the Security Council? Lucia Newman, Al Jazeera at the United Nations.
So that was the story, number one on Al Jazeera. And again, Russia saying they have no choice but war after the Trump U-turn on Ukraine. Goodness me, you would get whiplash trying to follow the Donald Trump perspective on the war in Ukraine.
I mean, how do you think either Vladimir Zelensky or Putin, more so, I guess, for Ukraine, how do you plan anything? How do you move forward? How do you...
So true. Yep. I mean, even that snapshot before they talked about the Ukraine situation, saying how he gets up and says, UN, you guys suck, and then sits and talks to Antonio Guterres a little bit later on. I wanted to try a little more Spanish here because the person who was... Oh, that's better. Suddenly sitting in front of me, I love the UN. UN's amazing. UN's great. It's the best. Love it. High five. All behind it. You're like, what's... I don't know what's going on. Maybe that's just part of the broader political strategy. You never know quite where you're standing.
Well, look, that's also probably going to factor in when we talk about things a little bit later in the show.
That is true. So now it looks like Donald Trump saying, yep, Ukraine, they can recapture all their ground again. Okay. I loved this quote in particular, though. Donald Trump talking about Russia saying, Russia has been, I can't do a Trump impression, I wish I could. Russia has been fighting aimlessly for 3.5 years, a war that should have taken a real military power less than a week to win. If you're a real military power, nah.
Trending with Andrew Curtis.
Let's come back to New Zealand. And now I want to introduce you to somebody who is going to have a great influence in your life. So you may as well get to know them. Anna Bremen.
Just before you continue, though, Andrew, somebody's got in touch. Rima, thank you for that. A number ending 543. You're welcome.
Anytime.
Not sure what it is you're quite thankful for. Feel free to get back in touch and clarify, but you're welcome.
Yeah. anytime. We are great believers in that around here, and we will send that your way.
Absolutely. And if you're watching on the stream, of course, you can also leave a comment below. Just like Marcy, good to know that you're tuned in from home in Aotearoa.
Hey, love it.
And also, if you want to text on through while you're listening, just as that other person did, 8168 with the keyword REMA at the beginning of your message.
So let us then introduce you to Anna Bremen. She was the number 6 search term in the country. Anna Bremen, what's she doing? Well, you're about to find out.
The incoming Reserve Bank governor won't rule out more engineered recessions. Sweden's Anna Bremen is promising more consultation, transparency and stability when she takes over the role in December. Former Governor Aotearoa was open about the central bank deliberately causing a recession to combat steep inflation. Bremen says that she'd like to avoid economic shocks, but the central bank needs to remain focused on price stability. Police have...
So there you have it. That's basically who Anna Bremen is. She's the new chair of the Reserve Bank. Came to us from Sweden. What does this mean, Josh? Hey, all I'm going to say is IKEA about to open. Swedish head of Reserve Bank.
Do you IKEA about it or not?
Get out.
I don't think I IKEA about it.
Get out. No, we heard you the first time. Can I say too, anytime somebody gets up and says, hey, we're going to be transparent and obvious about stuff, you know they're about to do some shady stuff. They are about to do some of the dodgiest nonsense you've ever not heard about because they're not going to tell you.
Sad truth of the world.
Right? We are just your one source of truth. That's not going to work out.
Yeah, well, we're not stating, by the way, that trending is your one source of truth.
Heck no. Far from it, in fact.
Please
We might be a source of disinformation. We could get struck off the internet at any moment.
Don't say. Are you trying?
I mean, maybe. Sometimes you just got to poke the bear.
You're just going to start saying keywords that'll get us in trouble. Meta. Bad.
Yeah, that's true.
Evil.
COVID. Should we bring that up again? Does that still flag your stuff? You know, when you post something online and you mention COVID, it comes up with a little disclaimer notice underneath it sometimes?
I was about to say, if you've stopped hearing any sound on the stream, could you let us know? But you won't know because you won't be able to hear us.
Yeah, this is true. I've never forgotten too when Jacinda Ardern talked about them having the most open and transparent government of all time, and it came out in the end that they were the most opaque and difficult government to obtain information about there's ever been. Journalists pulling their hair out trying to get official information requests responded to in a timely manner. Absolutely impossible. So maybe it's different when a Swede says it.
Maybe.
What have the Swedes ever done to us?
Trending with Andrew Curtis.
Marching through our headlines then as we close in on our top stories. This one now heading to The Guardian in the UK. It's actually been a great little tour around the world. But more close to home than you might think, because the number one story on The Guardian, UK news website, is about New Zealand loosening residency restrictions as a record number of citizens leave.
Yeah, so we know the narrative that everybody is moving to Australia, the mass exodus, as it were, not from the Bible, but in real life.
Thank you for clarifying. Imagine if they parted the sea between New Zealand and Australia.
Also, just want to clarify, I do believe the Bible was real life. I said, in real life. Anyway, moving on. We're changing up things to hopefully keep people here in the country. But The Guardian, who, as we talked about in the pre-show, Andrew, are often reporting on American news, even though they're a UK-based news service. The number one trending story, the number one story that was clicked upon on their services over this week was about little old New Zealand.
Yeah, loosening residency restrictions. Does that suggest to us a lot of Poms looking to flee old Blighty?
Ooh, I hadn't considered that. I wondered if it was it's attached to the ongoing conversation around illegal immigration, and that it's particularly being led by America.
Yeah.
That is now becoming obviously a worldwide conversation. Has been obviously for a long time, but coming to the forefront.
All you need to do to solve your immigration problems is surround yourself in ocean. That's what we did.
Well, good old moat.
Just put yourself in an inconvenient corner of the globe and surround yourself with water. And then before you know it, immigration problems, never heard of them.
Yeah, we definitely have no immigration problems.
Well, to be honest, compared to some, we're doing all right.
That's fair.
Everyone has problems, Josh.
Yeah.
So,
No, not me. I'm so problem free.
Well, you are a Christian, so naturally.
Yeah. Everything is good for me.
That's right. Everything is awesome. I love singing that song on a Sunday. Let's take a look at how stuff tried to provide a bit of perspective here, even though, again, we're taking a lead from The Guardian. Winston Peters brassed off again.
New Zealand First has invoked the agree to disagree clause in its coalition agreement with National over visa changes that will give skilled migrants a pathway to residency.
Do you think in marriages you should be given a card each that you can just play every now and then? Just like, this is my agree to disagree card. Would that save a bit of time and drama? Like there's a point where you just go, well, look, we're just not going to agree about this. It's actually quite a freeing thing to come to when you just realize, well, this is just not a thing we're going to resolve. And we're just going to have different perspectives.
As long as you don't also have like a veto card.
Ooh.
Or maybe once you've played your veto card, you can't play it again.
For how long? Like ever? What, you get one veto in your whole marriage?
On your marriage?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Doing it in like couples and stuff.
Oh, I thought we were talking about politicians.
No. Saying in a relationship in general, do you both get like a, play your card? A veto card? I feel like a veto card would go terribly wrong. Because who gets it?
I feel that we've strayed into dangerous territory.
Let's go back
both
to
our wives potentially are also watching and or listening.
So let's see what else Sam Hayes had to say.
Winston Peters expressed concern that those who gain residency will become citizens and then use their New Zealand passport as a stepping stone to Australia.
What? This is not a shock to anybody. This has been known for decades.
I couldn't change the cameras fast enough to get your reaction.
Let's try that again. What?
There you go. That's better.
Thank you. This is known. Surely this is known. I don't know if we really need to hear any more from Sam on this one. Obviously, they just don't want to make it too easy for people to come here and then skip over the ditch. I mean, surely it's up to New Zealand at some point just to make ourselves more compelling than Australia, as opposed to saying, once you're here, you can't leave. It's like having groups of friends and saying, once you've come to my house, you can't go to Josh's house. I don't want it to be easy for people to get from my house to Josh's house.
Josh's house may be better, but you're here.
But you're here now.
You've got to stay here.
Exactly. You've got to be here for at least, instead of saying you have to come for at least 30 minutes, you have to stay here for at least 2 hours before you go to Josh's house. Or we can't be friends anymore. That's basically what he's doing, isn't it? No, not really at all. I've drastically oversimplified that. And even I know this. I just think, surely, if people want to move to Australia, the answer is not to say, well, then you just can't go. Like, if we're not doing as well as Australia, that's kind of our problem, isn't it?
Yeah, it's treating the symptom, not the actual disease, isn't it?
Well, and here's the other side of it too. If they're contributing to New Zealand while they're here, is that such a problem? Like maybe they're here for 5 years or something, as opposed to 30. But so long as they're providing like a net social economic gain while they're here.
Net positive.
Yeah. It's like you could string it down to a more of a micro level around New Zealand. People move from suburb to suburb. Be like, well, you're only moving to this suburb so you can save up to move to that one. Yeah?
Yes, yeah.
It's what we do. So maybe make your own suburb better.
Hey, what keeps you in New Zealand, by the way?
Great question.
Because you're here right now.
Ask him now. Ask the people.
Or, of course, if
Ask
you
them, Josh.
are watching,
Ask the people.
if you're watching somewhere else, by the way, what took you away from New Zealand? Or would you like to come here? Anyway, because I've just also noted, we've actually had a bit of a peak in terms of numbers on the stream. Welcome if you've just joined us on the stream. It is good to see you. Metaphorically, you can see us. But hey, we're talking about the mass exodus to Australia once again popped up in terms of the trending results of the week that was. This is trending. Have you got some thoughts on the story? But more particularly, that poignant question, what is keeping you here in New Zealand? Get in touch if you're listening, 8168 with the keyword REMA, or if you're watching on the stream, and quite a few people are right now, feel free to leave that comment below.
Trending with Andrew Curtis.
Last week, we were all shocked by the news of Charlie Kirk. It became the #1 news story in the country by quite a margin. He was assassinated at a university event, and shocking. Absolutely. It's one of those moments similar to, say, even Princess Diana, perhaps, when she passed away. People remember where they were and what they heard about it. I saw a lot of responses on social media. So naturally, you would think with this week, Charlie Kirk's funeral would also be a popular news story. And in fact, I did see many of my friends and people posting about the funeral itself, even a lot of the personalities that I follow on social media showing their comments. So, Charlie Kirk funeral, where do you think it turned up in the search terms in New Zealand in the last week? I'm going to give you 5 seconds to have a think about the number, all right? 5 seconds. Where did the Charlie Kirk funeral turn up? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Maybe put it in the chat. You got about 2 seconds to earn some props for this one as well. 70. Number 70 in the country. Only estimated around about 500 searches specific to Charlie Kirk's funeral happening in New Zealand in the last week.
We never go as low as 70
Never.
in terms of trending. Maybe the last we've been is to 30.
Yep.
It's all about, those popular stories. Why were people wanting to know more information about these things? But we also have a typical segment called Missing in Action, where we are just flabbergasted as to why this wasn't trending, and that would fit this moment right now.
And in case you're wondering too, this also includes Charlie's wife, Erica, in case you think maybe we've set the terms too narrow, because Erica Kirk delivered a speech at her husband's funeral that was breathtaking. It was incredibly moving, and I quite enjoyed following the responses of a number of internet personalities and commentators who I know don't have a public faith, or at the very least maybe agnostic, but had to acknowledge the power of Erica's speech. And if you're not familiar with it, or even if you are, I want you to drop what you're doing for a second and watch this moment, because it is breathtaking. It is moving. It is challenging. Whether you're a Christian or otherwise, this is what she had to say at Charlie Kirk's memorial service.
My husband, Charlie, he wanted to save young men just like the one who took his life. That young man, on the cross, our Savior said, "Father, forgive them, for they not know what they do." That man, that young man, I forgive him. I forgive him because it was what Christ did and is what Charlie would do. The answer to hate is not hate. The answer we know from the gospel is love, and always love. Love for our enemies and love for those who persecute us.
Wow. Wow. That was something expressed by people all around the world responding to Charlie Kirk's widow, Erica, making a commitment to forgive the man that killed her husband. And as I bring this back to why we do this show, that was a moment that was not searched for in New Zealand at all. Erica Kirk didn't turn up. However, an incredibly powerful moment. One thing that I saw commentators mention too is just how overtly Christian this event was. Now, this gets a bit murky in America, and I know even some listening right now might recoil a little bit because there's this weird alliance of political and faith in America that can be very jarring to New Zealand sensibilities. But this moment in particular, and again, I heard this a lot from agnostics, atheists, just people who generally do not make faith a big part of their public discussion, saying like that to me is That is what Christianity is all about. That is rubber meets the road. Not a person in the world would have faulted her if she had got up and fire and brimstoned it. That's what I heard from one commentator in particular. No one would have faulted her for saying, we can't take this anymore. We need vengeance. We need to strike back at these people who've struck back at us. So to stand up and make a public commitment to forgiving the person who murdered her husband, that kind of stops the world.
I guess it's a little bit sad that that's a surprising response to hear from a person of faith. I wish it was more commonplace. I wonder, for many reasons, why it wasn't trending. We do know that obviously quite often the trending results are the things that capture our most immediate attention.
Sure.
And, we often talk about clickbait or even just the headlines. We joked a little bit moments ago of Winston Peters brassed off. So, that invokes a click. Oh, why was Winston Peters brassed off? And I just imagine that, not to be cynical, but that this didn't garner that type of response. It didn't garner a click.
Well, here's the thing. I don't think Charlie Kirk was as well known in New Zealand to those, this is going to sound a bit stupid, to those who didn't know him, they really didn't know him. Like, people who knew who Charlie Kirk was, he was much more prominent, and I saw, again, many friends of mine in their social media responses acknowledging his passing and putting up their own little accounts of,
condolences.
Condolences, thank you. But really, outside of that bubble, in New Zealand in general, I would probably say 90+% of people had never heard of the guy.
I mean, the evidence of that is, as we talked about previously when this happened, I had no idea who he was. I had no idea why this story was garnering so much attention. And then, of course, because of said story, which is sad, that is why my awareness of Charlie Kirk, well, that's where it came from.
So, considering this is a follow-on from that, I mean, what would have perhaps elevated Charlie's story a couple of weeks ago was just the sheer horror of the event, the morbid curiosity, dare I say. Whereas, of course, this now, a week further removed from it, if you weren't particularly a fan of Charlie and were really just interested more from a, what is this newsworthy thing that has occurred, then perhaps that's not of great interest to you. Having said all that, though, I do still think amazing to see this discussion of forgiveness and faith and such overt faith in the public eye. And I think, too, a really interesting opportunity for us to talk about what it means to forgive somebody, or at least to commit to forgiving somebody. We were playing that video clip in full on the live stream, so if you weren't able to watch, you wouldn't have been able to see the cascade of emotions that went across Erica's face as she was delivering that speech. There was a lot of pain. To me, it looked like there was even some flashes of anger in different moments as well about what had happened. And yet amidst all of that, she commits to forgiving the person who has murdered her husband. And so I think it's really interesting for us to be able to talk to those in the faith community and those parallel to it, just to talk about what forgiveness means and what it doesn't mean. Because commitments to forgive often take more than just that moment. It's not really quite the same as, letting somebody go in front of you at the checkout. It's a small momentary thing, and you just say, I'm going to let someone else go first, and that moment is done and dusted. Whereas committing to forgiving somebody like this is something you will have to do daily for, I would imagine, quite a while. I couldn't tell you how long it's going to take. And there's going to be flashes of anger, flashes of rage. And I think Erica beautifully modeled the only way that you can really commit to forgiving like that is if you realize that you have been deeply forgiven as well. There is a story that I've referenced a number of times now. Jesus shared a parable of two men who'd been forgiven a great debt. Well, two men have been forgiven a debt. One of them was like $100 and another person was like 100,000. And the person to whom they owed the debt forgave them both. And he asked the question, who do you think will love that man the most? And people quite rightly pointed out, well, that would be the one forgiven the largest amount. And he said, yeah, so he who is forgiven much forgives much. And the moral of the story is not that some of us need to be forgiven less than others. It's that we all have needed to be forgiven much. And if you see that, then you have something to go on when Jesus asks you, okay, well, now I want you to pay it forward to somebody else. If you would really struggle with that today, can I suggest to you, you maybe don't know how much Jesus loves you. You might have, in the most tactful way I can frame it, maybe an inflated view of how good you really are, or maybe a diminished view of the great evils that we are all capable of as human beings. If you're aware of that, then the forgiveness and grace that Jesus offers you is more transformative, more powerful, and then makes moments like this with Erica Kirk so much more possible as well. So in some ways, a great shame that this was not trending in New Zealand, but perhaps it serves as an opportunity for conversation for us to talk about what faith and forgiveness really means.
Trending with Andrew Curtis.
And with all of that said, Andrew, we're going to need to quickly only briefly mention our number one trending news story, as looking at the time, we better wrap up fairly quick.
We do have about 4 minutes to talk about this one. Now, weirdly too, this was an element of the Charlie Kirk Memorial Service as well, because while there, Donald Trump delivered one of the addresses and couldn't help himself. Boy, if there was ever a phrase to sum up a person, couldn't help themselves. You imagine it was on his all the school report cards? Donald Trump couldn't help but reference the fact that the next day they were going to reveal that they've discovered the cause for autism. And it is very hard for me to take this seriously because autism as well is one of those things that's had a bit of a, I don't really know how to describe it. When people talk about autism, they talk about people who are a little bit too into details. You know, someone who's a bit obsessed with trains or can, you know, remember all the presidents of the United States. They don't think about the people who have chronic nonverbal autism, who live their lives in total care, whose parents are committed 24/7 to looking after them, who attack their family members, who do all sorts of terrible things because of how mentally compromised they are due to this illness, disease. We still don't really know. And yet Donald Trump felt it appropriate to announce that Tylenol has been identified as a cause of autism. And so Tylenol rocketed to the number one position in the country in the last week. Tylenol is your number one searched term in New Zealand for the last week. What on earth? What on earth? Now, fortunately for you, Josh, we might have run out of time for me to play the little clip that I found on this front.
Oh, no.
So you'll have to stick around, join us for the post show. We're going to stay in studio for a few minutes after this too. I'm going to play something from the Babylon Bee, which I just thought was chef's kiss. It's a satirical news site from the US, often skewers some faith-related topics, but more recently it's also branched into some more political commentary as well. Goodness me, the responses to this. By the way, it's not just a, you know, Donald Trump MAGA fans going bananas kind of thing too, because the number of women who also then posted themselves on social media, pregnant women protesting Donald Trump by sculling Tylenol. I'll show you, Donald Trump, glug, glug, glug. What are we doing? What is going on? I mean, this is a serious health concern. People have been trying to pin it on vaccines for a while. And at this point, if I can't convince you that there are so many studies that prove there's no link between vaccines and autism, then there's nothing I can tell you. That has been so thoroughly debunked. There's nothing else to say other than we might just agree to disagree. But then to come out and say, oh no, now we figured it out. It's Tylenol this whole time. The absolute state of it.
Yeah. Well, you can see why it rocketed to number one trending. I mean, basically, as we were saying just moments ago, it garners clicks. What on earth is Donald Trump saying? I need to know more.
So we are going to stick around to speak more about this on the post show. So if you're only listening via the radio, we're going to say goodbye in about 10 seconds. Otherwise, head over to rema.co.nz, click through to the Rema Facebook or YouTube pages, and we'll continue this conversation. Otherwise, thank you for joining us for Trending. We will see you again next week when we dive into the news that Aotearoa has been searching for. Haere. Yeah. So shall we play it? If I get a message rather in the chat that says play the clip, I'm going to play you the Babylon Bee thing because Josh was so nervous about this.
I would say, by the way, we got a couple more comments from Marcy saying, as a blind, visually impaired person, I'm happy to be listening to your kōrero and say kia ora to you guys.
Hey.
Aroha nui.
Oh, love it. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate you being a part of this. The whole reason we do this, again, so we can share these stories with everybody, and we love getting these comments through as well. So that's great to hear. Anything else that stands out to you then from our stories today?
Well, we really haven't spent much time talking about the Tylenol story.
Yeah, true.
And rightly so. We spent quite a little bit of time on Charlie Kirk. And there's been a lot of love also for Charlie in the chat as well. Rest in love, Charlie Kirk, and a lot of love also for Erica Campbell. Ross says, excellent comments on Erica's speech as well. We often joke, and this show will cause this quite extensively, the pivots you have to make.
Oh, bro, tell me about it.
When doing a show like this.
Tell me about it.
But I don't know that I've ever felt it as acutely in the moment as going from the speech there from Erica Campbell and the... Erica Kirk, sorry, thank you. And the beautiful sentiment shared and your right and true analysis into the ridiculousness, just absurdity, just of Tylenol being number one.
Imagine bringing that up at a funeral too, by the way. Like, imagine going to the funeral of somebody's, and by the way, breaking news tomorrow, we found the cure for autism at somebody else's funeral. What?
Donald Trump did a radio tease at a funeral.
Coming next, your chance to win tickets to Fiji and...
Tylenol, the real story.
Goodness me. Does anybody want to see this clip, by the way? Have we had... Tell me.
No, I'm not. Well, look, I'm being honest.
If you lie, yeah, I was going to say, if you'd lie to me, I'll find out.
No, genuinely.
All right.
No comments. Said they want to see the clip.
At the very least, guys, you just need to Google Babylon Bee and Tylenol.
At your own discretion.
By the way, Tylenol, in case you're not aware, is
Panadol.
paracetamol. Panadol. That's what Tylenol is. So apparently it causes autism now.
I do see Andrew.
Oh, should we welcome him
in the wings?
Let's bring him in. If he's around, we can get his thoughts on a few things. Because what a crackerjack lineup that was as well. Come on in, Mr. Urquhart. We need your thoughts on either Erica Kirk or Tylenol, so pick your poison.
Tylenol, come on.
Tylenol.
Pun intended.
What was that? What even was that?
Well, I think we need to be important. It is important. We need to be perhaps informed about what we put into our bodies.
Yeah.
But, basically, let's gift of translation here. This is paracetamol.
Yeah.
If there's something wrong with you and they only give you paracetamol, you're complaining. You're saying, I didn't get the good stuff. I just got paracetamol.
It's a good sign. Yeah, when you see the doc and they're like, it's a paracetamol thing. You're minor problem.
And hey, for a pregnant woman, paracetamol is about the only thing that they're allowed to take.
Yeah.
And now that's apparently off the list as well. But I just love the number of times that that Donald Trump said, don't take Tylenol.
Yeah.
Okay, there was some editing, I think, there with the Jimmy Kimmel piece.
Yes.
But it was still absolutely hilarious. And I think Tylenol sales will go up as a result. Win-win, right?
Well, there were those people who were protest binging Tylenol, which is just, you want to point fun at Donald Trump, and fair enough. But women, like pregnant women who are appearing on social feeds sculling bottles of Tylenol. I'm like, what are you doing?
Can I just say that overdosing on paracetamol is actually dangerous?
Yes.
For non-pregnant people, it's not a really good thing to do. I say this is advice from the medical professional I see most often, my wife.
Yeah.
Yeah. She says, you got to make sure that you're not too much. But yeah. No, I think given the two medical professionals that were supporting Donald Trump for that announcement, what was it, Dr. Oz and that guy that eats roadkill.
The Liver King?
The Liver King. Wouldn't surprise me.
Maybe that's an indication of what type of advice he's getting in that regard. No, to be fair, though, there is one study which says that, hey, maybe there's a link. Because, honestly, there's a couple of things happening here. Firstly, the number of people on the neurodiverse spectrum that are getting diagnosed, that is going up because we're getting better at diagnosing it.
Sure.
And most pregnant women take Tylenol.
Therefore.
So there is going to be, but even that one survey that said that maybe there's a link here says that that correlation is not causation.
Well,
so come on.
Learning how to interpret to scientific studies is learning that it's very rare for a study to say there is absolutely no chance of blah, blah, blah. You really won't find that in a lot of stories. What they will most likely do is say, we can find no evidence for.
Yeah.
Which is a similar reason why sometimes the vaccine causes autism thing keeps coming back up, because the studies all say, they don't say there is no link because it's impossible to prove a negative. What they will say is we found no causal connection between X and Y. It might be vaccines and autism or anything else in the world. So to just have a study that says, look, maybe in the same way that maybe you'll be struck by lightning today.
Yeah.
Probably not, but maybe it could happen. So,
And hey, I just want to also say that I think that people, neurodiverse people, add so much colour and character to our society. We've got different words for them now. They involve letters of the alphabet. We just used to say that they were quirky people that saw the world a little bit differently, and the world is richer because those people are part of our community. And honestly, not pointing fingers, guys, but a lot of those people end up as radio announcers, just saying.
It's a true story. Well, look, mate, love to get your thoughts on this stuff. What do you got for us after 10?
We are going to the UN with Winston Peters. Well, not literally, but it's been a big week for Winston Peters, and all eyes on whether or not officially New Zealand will endorse the state of Palestine. So that's a big topic that we're starting with today. Also looking at how much the church community should be supporting not just freedom of speech, but the free press in New Zealand. I know a lot of people going, oh yeah, mainstream media, but actually maybe we've got a little bit of a problem, a little bit of a hemorrhage in what is happening in our media here in New Zealand. So talking a little bit more about that. Also asking the big question, what on earth is God doing in Papamoa at the moment?
I've often wondered.
Yeah, exactly. We'll have the answer to that question before 12 o'clock today.
Brilliant. Well, we're going to hand over the reins to you, mate. Get some thoughts and comments your way. That is Andrew Urquhart along after 10, but we will catch you again for Trending next week between 9 and 10. So look forward to seeing you then. Thanks for being part of the post show. We'll catch you later.